We're located at 66 Brock Street West in Uxbridge, and today we're going to do arm knitting. I'm going to show my friend Maeve how to do arm knitting. Good girl. We have to use really chunky yarn. Look how thick this is, Maeve. This is a product called Link from Barocco. It's extremely heavy, and that's what we need to create this gorgeous chunky scarf. We've also created a second scarf using a second yarn called Dolce Vita, using only 2 stitches. Nice fluffy, lammy looking little scarf. Just important to note that the yarn has to be really thick. This is a super chunky yarn. When you're knitting with needles, this would be extremely heavy, extremely bulky. It's not heavy enough to do this arm knitting. You'd have to double or even triple this up in order to get the effect that you want. Are we ready to start?
Yeah.
Let's get going. All right, today we're learning how to do arm knitting, and my friend Maeve is going to help me. But we have to start with a slip knot. So Maeve is going to take this into her hand. We're going to let the raw end of the wool fall down in front, wrap the yarn around Maeve's hand, pinch it at the top, and then Maeve's going to take the working end of the yarn and take it through this little stitch that she has on her hand. Pull it right. Just pull this working yarn through. There we go. And put that on your arm, and that's our first stitch. That's a slip knot. Good job, Maeve. Now we're going to cast on 4 more stitches because we want to have a total of 5. So Maeve is taking the yarn, giving it a half twist, and putting her hand through it. This is called a backwards loop cast on. This one, pull that one. There we go. Take the yarn, give it a half twist. Yeah, that's right. Give it a little pull. We don't want it too loopy, but we do want it loopy. How many more to go, Maeve?
1.
1 more? Okay. And pull that yarn. That's our cast on row for arm knitting. So easy. Now what we're going to do is take all these stitches, these 5 stitches, and we're going to transfer them over to this arm. Right. So Maeve is going to take the working end of the yarn. She's going to put it through the old stitch, creating a new stitch, and putting that stitch on her left arm. Good job. Let's make that stitch a little bit smaller.
Yeah, you do.
We'll pull this. There we go. Take your working yarn. Take the old stitch off your right arm. Put the working yarn through and place the new stitch on your left arm. Take the old stitch off, working yarn through, and place the new stitch on your left arm. See how this is resembling a slip knot. New yarn through, creating a new stitch. Take the working yarn through the old stitch on your right arm. Create the new stitch and place it on your left arm. Take your working yarn. Pull it, there we go. Take it through the old stitch and place the new stitch on your right arm. And give that a nice little tug so the stitches aren't too big. Good job. Working yarn through the old stitch. Place the new stitch on your right arm. Good job. Tighten that up a bit so the stitches aren't giant sized. There we go. Through the old stitch, creating a new stitch, which goes on your right arm. That's right. Take your working yarn, through the old stitch, new stitch created on your left arm. Good job. Okay, 1 more. Excellent. How many stitches do we have, Maeve?
5.
5. That's good. We have to count every once in a while and make sure that we have 5 stitches. And this is the beginning of our arm knitting. It's going to create a fabulous, cozy, big, chunky scarf. All right, we've created this great, chunky, big, luscious scarf, but now we have to cast off. So we go through the yarn until we have approximately 2 feet left, maybe 3 feet left. I'm just going to start casting off now so that you can see. We knit 2 stitches that we have previously, so we bring the new yarn through the old stitch, put on our left arm, new yarn through the old stitch, on our left arm, We take the first stitch that we put on our left arm, take it over top of the second one and allow it to drop right off. That's the first stitch cast off. So very similar to what we do in knitting, but we don't have any needles. So the working yarn goes through the next stitch, new stitch is on my left arm, the first stitch on my arm goes over the second stitch and drops off. Take our working yarn again, knit the next stitch, take the first yarn, drop it off this over top of the second yarn and right off the end of our scarf. Take our working yarn, knit the last stitch, take the first stitch over top of the second, allow it to drop off, and then bring the tail of the yarn right through the last stitch, tie a nice tight knot, and we're done our magic arm knitting scarf.